So now we're going to take a look at working workflows, or running workflows rather, from the DAM. So the main difference between running a workflow in the DAM versus running a workflow in WCM is that the DAM does not have a sidekick. So it's pretty simple. Workflows in the DAM are very easy to run. In your documentation, we cover the scope of workflows. For the most part, what you want to do is the number one workflow application is to activate an asset. And again, just to reiterate, that's most important. If you put a non-activated asset into a web page, then go to activate that web page, AEM is going to kick that back and say you need to activate the asset. So when you bring it in, it's a pretty good idea just to go ahead and activate these. And there's a couple of different ways you can do it. The simplest way is to navigate to where, your folder and the asset that you want to activate. Go ahead and highlight that asset and then click Activate. And again, as we've mentioned before, these fields here aren't dynamic, so they're not going to update automatically. But if you click a refresh, that'll show you the status here and show that the request for activation workflow has been initiated under Workflow. And then under Step, it'll show you which step it's in. And again, by this point, you should be familiar with the steps for Workflow. So it's in the Initiator comment. So again, unlike the WCM, if you were in the Sidekick, you could go ahead and add those comments, but you can't do that in the DAM because there is no Sidekick. So you're going to want to go to the inbox, and here's the inbox right here. Just click the envelope icon, and here's our asset that we've gone through and added. And so I'm going to highlight that, and I've got some choices up here what I want to do. So we're just going to take the easy path through, and we're going to add some comments to this. So we'll go ahead and click Complete. Again, similar to the Sidekick, and where it says you click Complete, and then you add your comments. And here you could go through and determine if I want to publish it at a particular date. And there could be reasons for doing that, but this is where you're going to access that functionality. So if you wanted to publish at a particular date and at a particular time, you could do that right here. So I go ahead and I'm not going to do anything here. I'm just going to leave this as it is, and I'm just going to click OK. And again, that goes out of my inbox, so I no longer, as an author, I no longer have anything that I can do for this. I've actually sent it up to marketing approval. So let's go back to the DAM. And all of that should be reflected in the status icon right here. And right now it's just in, again, we've talked about this before. There are some back-end processes that are going on with these workflows. Web authors, for the most part, see two of the steps, initiate and initiator comments, and it's still pausing. But anyway, the next thing will be that it has been submitted for marketing approval. So the other way that you could do this, if you're so inclined, to initiate a workflow. So if it was activate or deactivate, you could do that straight from these toolbar up here. We could also click the workflow button, and that will bring up something similar to the Sidekick. So, but here we can go through and choose which workflow we want to add to this. So if we wanted to move the asset, if we wanted to request activation, we could do this here as well. And there are additional options right here. So I could add that in there. This is what we want to do, is request for activation. For campaign, the title is Launch Q2. And we'll go ahead and start that. And again, you can see the same thing here is that we've got, it's been the request for activation workflow has been initiated. And if we were to hop over to the inbox, and here we've just gone back to check the status on this one up above, and you see it's in the marketing approval step. And down here we can see it's looking for initiator comments. So again, we could go into the inbox, and I actually have two in here. Well, I'm seeing the one that's in the initiator in the marketing approval state, but we could go through here and add those comments, and then it would get pushed to marketing approval. So the other thing we could do, if we decide, I really didn't want to do that, I'm not ready to get that activated for whatever reason, Again, we can go back to the workflows module over here on the right-hand side of the home page. The default is the models tab. And again, that's going to show you all the models for the workflows, but that's not what we want. What we want are the instances of all the workflows that we have. So I'm going to click on that. And I see I have 2 of these here. And I'm going to highlight. So if I just want to terminate that one, that was campaign 2016 launch Q2, I can highlight that and click terminate. I can add in a comment. And then when we refresh this, the instance of that workflow is gone. So again, in the WCM, it's actually called the Workflows module. This is where you can go through and terminate any workflow that you have running. So let's go back and check the status on that just to confirm everything that we've seen here. Make sure that's showing up. And sure enough, that workflow has been removed. And this one is still in for marketing approval. So that's kind of an overview of the workflows for assets. They're very simple, very straightforward. One of the biggest kind of business process lessons to learn is that an asset has to be activated before a page that it is located within can go live.